Hi guys!
Hi everyone!
So today we're down here at Wander Home on this amazing weekend day. Look at this, you don't get sun like this in this country very often. We're so lucky. Today we are looking at new Sven versus old Sven.
Oh.
Yes, that's right. We're down here looking at the new version of the Westfalia Sven Hedin, which is obviously very important to us because that is our van.
The old one.
The old one now.
And it's actually her 1 year anniversary this weekend.
Yeah. So we're here having a look at a new one. Shh, don't tell her. Right. This is very important. We really like the look of this new Sven. It's got quite a few changes. Some of them are around the base van itself, some of them are around the interior, some underlying tech. There's new options you can buy. It's basically a whole new van.
Oh crikey, well you need to contain yourself.
But it obviously isn't a new van, it's still a Sven. You'll know it as a Sven, still got the funky pop out on the side and all that stuff. But what we thought we'd do is we would do a compare and contrast between the two in this video. So fair warning, it's probably going to be long, you know what we're like. So we're going to do a bit of a run through of the different functions of the van. So we'll have a bit of a wander around the outside. I think you want to have a look at the interior and stuff, don't you?
Kind of proper comparison, so we'll be able to hop out of one, hop straight into the other and take a really good look between the two.
Yeah.
Will's favourite bit on the tech, basically, because who doesn't love a little bit of tech?
Yes.
And then try and do, I suppose, kind of pros and cons, bit of a weighing up.
Sounds good.
Yeah, go from there.
Would we change for one?
That is the question.
Wait until the end of the video to find out. Have we ordered one? Who knows? Wait until the end of the video to find out. Right, let's get on with it then.
Let's go. Okay, so let's start off with the externals of this van. So I think we probably should take it as a given that it's basically the same unless I tell you it's different as the kind of starting point. So first up, we have a colour difference. Subtle, but definitely noticeable. So this one is called ice blue, and this one is called flannel grey. Now, the new Sven you can get in 3 different colours as opposed to the old one, which was only in 2. So the old one was your flannel grey or your pearl black, I think it was called. This one now you have choice of basically 3 different weather conditions in the UK. So you either have a lovely ice blue, which is quite representative of the sky today. You have Indian grey, which is basically the end of the world is nigh if you're thinking cloud colour, or they have a light grey, which is basically what we've had for the vast majority of the UK winter this year. So here's the 3 that Will's going to zoom in on from the leaflet here. So there you go, light grey, Indian grey and ice blue. So you take your pick as to which weather condition you actually want to sort of acclimatise with, I suppose. But the good thing is all 3 are the same price, so you no longer have to sit there debating about do I spend more or less, or etc, etc. So for those of you who are keen-eyed, there is a slight subtle change here, that it is a TGE 3.160 as opposed to the old Sven, which was the TGE 3.180. So there is a small change there in the engine. So it's gone down from being a 180 horsepower to a 163 twin turbo down to a single turbo. So there is no choice to have more turbo. That is what you get these days. So probably better for your fuel economy, but who knows. The other things that we have different here. So these Svens come with alloy wheels. Hallelujah, some of you may well say, because the old Svens came with steel wheels. Swings and roundabouts. Steel wheels, when you're spending more than £90,000 on a van, generally not a great look, but it does give you the opportunity to go away then and choose whatever alloys you fancy. Whereas you might be a little less dissuaded to do so if it comes with alloys in the first place. But like I say, swings and roundabouts, but it's nice that they are actually providing a van of this kind of spec now with alloy wheels. If we come a little bit further around here, you'll be able to start seeing the difference between the front bumpers. So this one you can see here, it's quite smooth down here on the front, and you've got a really, really big sensor, and we'll come on to those later and when Will does his tech roundup. And on the old one here, you can see you get a fair bit more detailing here on this bumper, and a much smaller, still a rectangular sensor, but it's definitely smaller. So there is a little bit of difference between those two there, relatively subtle, but different. There's not really a huge amount more to talk about, to be honest, in terms of the external appearance. You can see a little bit of the details on the dashboards from the outside, that the two are slightly different, and again, when we get inside we'll show you the difference between the two there. But I think we probably need to start thinking about getting into the inside of these, which is where you'll find the biggest changes actually are.
So just before we nip inside, let me just tell you about some of the tech details kind of that you see from the outside. Sarah mentioned the bigger radar and stuff. Eagle-eyed, and you've got to be really eagle-eyed and a bit geeky to spot this, the camera system at the top there is different on the new version. And I should say that you might be wondering why the bumpers are different and all that kind of stuff. They're different because this is the facelifted MAN TGE. So they've just facelifted the Crafter and they've also facelifted the MAN TGE. And again, you've really got to know what you're looking at to know whether it's a facelift or not. But that's why this has got quite a few different details. So bigger camera at the top there. This has got more self-driving tech. So things like the self-steering, so when you're on the motorway, it will steer itself. It's got lane change assist. It's got, basically, if you've got a Volkswagen or an Audi or a Cupra or something like that with all of the modern packages on, which is all the autonomous driving stuff and everything else, this has now got all of that, which is really great actually, and very, very helpful. Some people don't like that kind of thing, so, you know, if you're one of those people, that's absolutely fine. I've just noticed as well, this has got a heated windscreen, which is very nice to have. Wish we had that on ours. Ours doesn't have a heated windscreen, because in the morning, if you've got a bit of condensation inside or it's icy, having a heated windscreen, really helpful. It does have the little bars in it though. So some people don't like that because it just refracts the light a little bit through the windscreen, but this does have that, which is really nice. And finally, these mirrors, although we don't talk about mirrors particularly, these mirrors are slightly different to ours. So these ones on ours have a manual shot like that, and I'm not going to do that on this because it's electric. So I'm assuming you can probably manually fold it, but I won't try because I don't want to break it. These are now electric folding from the inside, which is really handy if you're going through a narrow gap. And they also have blind spot detection on them, which is a little light on the top of the mirror which comes on when someone's in your blind spot, which again, you know, really helpful. What I would say though, on the kind of old Sven, or Sven Classic, the mirrors at the bottom, because the mirrors are in two parts, the mirrors at the bottom are really good for being able to see your blind spots anyway. So although it's nice to have blind spot monitoring like that, not particularly essential, although I think it comes in all of the pack with all the autonomous driving stuff, so that's why they've added it to this one. I think that'll do for the tech. Let's get inside. Let's do a cab comparison first of all then. So this is our Sven. So this is the pre-facelift MAN TGE, and that's really important from a cab point of view, as well as when we talk later on about the interior, which Westfalia have updated. So this is what you get in a pre-facelift Sven Hedin. So quite a normal looking Volkswagen Group steering wheel, obviously all of your cruise control and adaptive cruise and everything's there. Yes, it's got one of these, a key, which might be different on the new one. Obviously you've got your standard dials and everything there, all pretty straightforward. If I just turn it on, you'll see you've got a normal kind of small display in the centre. It's not colour or anything like that. Very standard. In terms of your sat-nav unit and everything else, if anyone's had a kind of Mark 7 Golf onwards or anything like that, very standard kind of unit, same as a Volkswagen California. Obviously it comes up with a, when you start it up from cold, it comes up with an MAN logo on it rather than a Volkswagen one, but it's basically the same. Obviously a touchscreen, built-in nav and everything else. Not massively interesting in terms of a unit, doesn't do any really cool or funky things. It does CarPlay wireless, which is all fine. The Sven comes with standard air conditioning on this model, so you've just got a heater control, doesn't have a temperature setting as such like you'd have climate control and things, just bog standard air conditioning. Obviously you can turn it on and off. Heated seats, heated steering wheel, turn that off, and obviously parking sensors, all of that kind of stuff. Gear lever in a normal position. I didn't know it beeped when you did that. obviously you've got a USB-C sockets down here to be able to charge your phone and other things. If you do need to plug your phone in for CarPlay, you can do it down there as well. Big glove box, really good size glove box on these. Basically just a fairly standard crafter dashboard. Obviously we've got pockets and stuff at the top here. We've put some rubber inserts in those to stop stuff flying around, but pretty traditional really. If you're used to a normal kind of transporter, anything like that, you'll be completely at home in here. No fabric on the door cards or anything like that, based on a commercial vehicle. If you're used to a California Ocean or something like that, a T6 one especially, had nice kind of squidgy materials on here and everything, and fabric and stuff. You don't get anything like that in the crafter, unfortunately, and the MAN-TGE. So you get what you get, but at least it's hard wearing. That's the main thing. Obviously in here we've put our genuine floor mats in here as well. They're all fitted inside. It just keeps it a bit easier to clean and everything like that. So should we jump in the new one and have a look at that? Here we are then in the new one. So quite a lot to talk about in this one. You'll notice that this has got lovely leather in it. We'll cover that a bit later on in terms of the difference between the fabric and the leather. However, quite a bit to talk about in here. So first things first, you can see very different style of dashboard in here. So still obviously plastic, however, little kind of rubberized bins. That's a bit of rubber in there, which is nice. That's not. You can obviously buy inserts for these if you want to. A little bit of silvery detailing around the vents and things, just restyled. Hasn't got the big bank of buttons at the top here. They've moved those down the bottom there instead, although they're all blanks. Different style of screen in here. So if you've ever seen a screen out of a ID3 or, you know, again, a Cupra Born or an ID4 or anything like that, very similar style of screen in here. This has got the latest version of the software and computer and everything in. So if you have had an ID3 and you're thinking, oh my God, what have they put that in the crafter? This is completely different. You need to have a go with this new version 5 software. This is like way better than it was before. You'll probably spot this here. So it's an electronic handbrake on this, which is just for campers. You will know when you swivel this seat round, having something here, it's not there. So the handbrake in ours is down at the bottom here. Obviously it's gone, which makes turning the seat round so much easier. And it's just another thing for the floor to get cluttered up. Obviously on the dashboard there is much better. Steering wheel slightly revised, again, standard Volkswagen style. It hasn't got capacitive buttons on here, so none of that swipey thing or any of these are actual buttons, which is great. You'll see that it's got a digital dashboard as well. I don't know what different things it can do. I've not really had a play with it yet, but it looks to me as though you'd probably be able to change some of the way that the dials work and everything else. You probably have to have the engine running for it or something, but yeah, I'm definitely, so yeah, you've got obviously your speedo and rev counter. That's got the speed in the middle and you can change the outer things to do different things. You've got your sat-nav map on the screen there as well. I'm not going to go through all of that because obviously it's going to take ages in the video, but if you've ever used one of these from the Volkswagen Audi group, it's basically the same in this. You might be wondering where the gear lever is, because we've now got this bin sat where our gear lever is. It's on here. So if you can see that stalk there is the gear lever. The park button is on the end and you twist it to put it in drive, reverse and park. So quite nice and handy up there. That obviously gives you more space down here, which is great. But then what it does mean is this stalk here has to do everything else. So you've got all of your wipers, all of your headlights and everything are all on there. So in terms of full beam and setting the auto high beam and those kind of things, that's all on this one stalk. The main controls for the headlights, obviously it's usually in automatic because it's got automatic headlights. You can override them down at the bottom here if you want to, and that's where your fog lights and stuff are as well. So on this door card, the only difference really on this is the fact that this switch here has got the mirror folding position, which, there you go. Very nice. And that's really handy, especially if you're driving the van on your own and you need to move that mirror because you're going through somewhere really narrow. So that's that. Obviously more detailing everywhere. You've still got 4 cup holders in the dashboard. Still doesn't have any rubber inserts as standard in the dashboard. There's a really cool little USB-C socket on the side of that. So if just there, look, if you're wanting a dash cam or anything like that at the top there, already pre-wired basically for you. And then this control panel at the top here has just now become touchscreen and touch sensitive, which some people will like, some people won't. And this is where things like your SOS buttons and all of that kind of stuff are. But you've still, at the front here, you've still got all your cubby holes, all this great space at the top. We shove our jackets in the top there. Just have a double check of the glove box. Yes, it's still got one, but it's basically identical, exactly the same as before. Still hasn't got any nice materials or anything on the doors, but you know, that is a commercial vehicle for you. So there you go. That is the new front of the MAN-TGE facelift. Let's get on to the camping bit now.
So arguably we are now on to the most important bit, which is the bit that makes it a camper van rather than just being a van. So I get the joy of doing the kitchen bit, and that's probably because Will never cooks. But there you go. Obviously, please do kind of remember that this is a lived-in van, so carpets, cushions, dog bed, stuff in the fridge and everything, you're not going to see that in the other one. So I will just peel back some floorings and stuff so you can see the difference in the terms of the floorings here. And that's probably a good place to start, to be honest, before we actually get on in there. So if Will can just pan down here, this underneath our mat here is the colour of the flooring that you get on the old Sven. So a kind of light oak kind of coloured flooring, I'd say, maybe something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not particularly good at my wood types, but it's light anyway, and it probably is a reasonable place just straight away. And I'm going to do mostly this one and then the other one, but just to show you the difference in the floor colour here. So you have this, it's a similar bottom colour, but you've got these planks that are kind of drawn into it, and you can see straight away you've got a lot more grey there, whereas in this van it's this kind of foil laminate-y thing that you can actually feel. It's got a bit of a grain to it on there, whereas in the other one there it's a more plain finish rather than with a pattern. I think it's fairly safe to say. Okay, so follow me in. So like I said, apologies for dog beds and blankets and mats and all of that kind of stuff. This is our winter setup with easy wash mat down here rather than the lovely campervan carpets that we had made for us. We didn't want to trash them over the winter, so we will be switching back at some point. So first thing that is noticeably different between these two vans is this old, or I say old, the last way that they did the kitchen block here. So you can see straight away we've got this kind of coloured sort of foil grain that's on this. Nice contoured curves here, and these two drawers down here are your fridge. So they blend in, look like kitchen cupboards. And again, apologies for all of our stuff here. We are camping here tonight, so hence why it is. But it shows you at least what kind of size they are as to what you can fit in. So we've got a big 4-pinter of milk there and some other things. And these are both exactly the same. So you have an upper basket there as well, and you can see the seals are around there too. Positives of this, dead easy access. Negatives of it, as soon as you open the drawer, all of the nice cold air disappears straight out, but that's what you get. Top one up here is the cutlery drawer, and again, apologies, there's a lot of stuff in here, but we like to cook and we like to have lots of little bits and pieces. We covered this in a load of felt to try and stop things jiggling around, but that's basically your layout there. It's not a very high drawer because you've got your gas hob over here, so you do have to keep things very, very flat. But that is your cutlery drawer that you get there. On the top of this sink block, you have a drop-in hob. So, there we go, 2 gas hob. Not really a lot to say about that. It is what it is, apart from I'm sorry it's a little grubby at the moment. As we move on down, you have a sink. So just nice round recessed sink, simple tap. This, the van doesn't come with, this chopping boardy thing that we had made for us, but we found it quite a necessity to give us a little bit of extra workspace here. So that's your sink block, and if Will kind of comes around, he can see and show you then the layout of these drawers that you get here. So this fridge takes up a good amount of space, and you end up with these 3 drawers there. So you get 2 fairly shallow drawers and then 1 really deep drawer that you can just chuck a load of stuff in. And then this cupboard that people have spent a lot of time arguing about as to what exactly is it for on the end here. I think technically it's designed to be more of a wardrobe, but a lot of people fit them out with these shelves, which is exactly what we've done there for all utility kind of bits and pieces and larder and stuff like that. Turning around behind me, you can see here you have these couple of boards that separate out the garage area from your living area, and you have this little step come storage box there, and we've got a few bits in it. I think they want you, generally speaking, to put shoes in it, but we've got a couple of frying pans and a kettle in there, and that's also used as your step to help you get up into bed. So behind the sink here, I'm not going to explain a huge amount about this because it is what it is. A couple of sort of little shelves and bits and pieces. We've got something hanging over there, but this is different in the new van, so we'll show you around that when we get over there. Into more the kind of dinette area down here. So both of the front seats swivel around as you'd expect. We've left them in the driving position at the moment, and you get your bench seat. I'll show you the nifty bit that bench seat can do shortly, but just for some other storage little bits and pieces here, obviously you have this raised floor space. You can see that there's a drawer kind of front there that you can enter that as well, but under here there's also a, if we can just zoom in, and then that's where you can access that as well. I must admit, because this is where the dog sleeps, we don't really use that underfloor space, but I know a lot of you find it really important. I'm reliably informed that you can just about get a 6-pack of beer in there. So there you go. So this bench seat, I'm going to have a switch around so that I can actually use it properly. Bear with. Okay, so there's a couple of little handles on this. The first thing that you can do here is pull it open, so you do get a nice big storage area in these Svens. There's a slight difference between the two of them, but I don't think it will make an enormous amount of difference to the amount of stuff that you can keep under there. But we can keep things like our Crocs. Now I know they're debatable as to whether they should belong in here or not, but we keep those kind of things in there, various other bits and pieces, towels and dog food and all of that sort of stuff, so it's quite a nice big storage area there. What you can also do with this bench seat, which is quite a big selling point actually for the evenings, this bar on the bottom here, if you pull that, you can actually recline it. It makes it a heck of a much nicer place to be spending in your evenings, so you're not bolt upright sitting there. Nice. I'm hoping they've carried that on into the new van. For the eagle-eyed amongst you, you'll have spotted the rail here. That's where your table goes, so the table's stored back there, table on here, and it's got your single leg out there, so spin your seats around and you've got a good table for two. Opening window over here with your typical blind fly screen combo, and then a couple of nice big storage cupboards up here, which you can see in this van are in this kind of white laminate. Feels like a nice laminate, doesn't feel like it's going to go peeling off anytime soon. It feels pretty sturdy, and you can see there's this sort of wood panelly colour underneath it as well, which matches that kitchen block there where your fridge and things is. So finally, I think we'll move over on here, because this is another difference as well between these two vans. You do get a fly screen on both of them, but on this one you pull it out from here and it comes all the way across, so one enormous fly screen. And if we'll just focus this down on the bottom there, you can see how that rail actually works as well. So it's not kind of in the floor space where you stand, if that makes sense from what he's just shown you there. You just get this one big blind that you pull across, and it's stored right the way over here. It's nice and stiff, which is a good thing, believe me. But also believe me that all of these things rattle, and you will find a way to have to try and deal with that when you're moving your vans around. Just that. There we go. So one big fly screen goes out of the way, leaves you with a good amount of space here to be getting in and out of the van. Okay, so welcome to New Sven. So instantly, I should imagine you can see we've got quite a different colour combo going on the inside here. And also, this door is propped half open. Now, good thing that they've done is up in the rail here, I can't remember what specifically they call it, but they've put a bump in basically, so you can actually have this door in two places. We've had to kind of retrofit one that we've put on the rail, which works fine. But there you go, you end up with 2 stops on it. I don't know if Will can just about point out where that is on there for you. Next thing, which is a good one to point out quite quickly since we've literally just talked about it, is the fly screen. Quite a different setup in this van. So instantly you can see here, we've got a fly screen on this side, which is one of these tall ones. It's made this space a little narrower here, and you can see if Will just zooms in that we have a track over kind of where you walk. So we have a fly screen that comes over like that, and then we have another fly screen that comes over as so. So good big fitted fly screen, absolutely does the jobby, just 2 very different ways of doing it. Oh, nice and stiff and new. So this also has a rail here at the back of the kitchen block. Now, one of the other key changes that they've had to do for this new Sven, they've redesigned the fridge that you get in this Sven, which has meant a new kitchen block here to accommodate this wider fridge. I think it's probably fairly safe to say that it is. And I don't know, there's pros and cons about this. So on the end here, you'll see instantaneously we've obviously lost the cutlery drawer element that we have here. And this is a much squarer kitchen block than we have. If you remember, ours was quite curved on the edges here and then had those pull-out drawers. So you get this one big fridge which pulls out. So big fridge bit down here, and that looks to me exactly like you'd be able to get one of those 4-pinters of milk in as well, or a wine bottle or something like that. You also get this here, which I think by the looks of it pulls out, but I'm not going to take this blue sticky tape off because this will be somebody's brand new van and I'd like them to be able to do that. But you also get a little freezer up here. So for those nice hot summer days, or for those of you who like to keep frozen carrots or random things like that in your freezer for a dog, you've got that option there. So probably similar type or size of fridge space, takes up a bigger space because you've got that bit of freezer as well, and it's a bit taller, and it's clearly a drop-in unit. So I don't know, maybe there's a positive there that if something goes wrong with this, it's dead easy to replace or change any kind of parts, and things a bit more accessible than being these drawers that were specifically made for this van. Okay, so if we move around a little bit on this kitchen block here, you can see we've got quite a different setup here to the older Sven. So we've got this sort of white worktop rather than black, and we've got this drop-in unit that is gas and sink. So we had the separate sink on the old one, which was that round drop-in sink, if you remember. So on this, it looks like it's all a Dometic unit. So we have a 2-burner gas hob, looks fairly similar, slightly different arrangement, but 2-burner gas hob is a 2-burner gas hob. And you have a sink under here, under this cover. So no more trying to source a wooden, beautiful worktop thing cut perfectly to exactly the size, because you've got a lid. So that's a bonus. And your taps down here as well. So it's all a little bit more sleek and slender lines, I think you could probably say. Nice big sink down there, kind of rectangular, squarish rather than the round. Might be a little trickier to try and wash up your plates and things, and you might have a little bit more of a challenge trying to keep your gas burners clear of it. And obviously when you're using your gas burners, you will need to put that up as well so that you don't end up shattering that glass by it overheating. So down here you can see that this fridge hasn't taken up as much space on this bit here, so you do get some bigger drawers. So similar kind of an idea to the older Sven. So what have we got up here? This one is, well, that's quite a nice big deep drawer, although there is obviously the sink to take account of in there, if Will can get that in there for you. So you've got a bit of a height challenge in terms of the drawer there, but looks like you've got a bit more space on that side because the burners aren't quite as deep. That's that one. What do we get in this one? That's a really good big drawer there. Got loads of stuff in that one. And then down at the bottom here, what do you get with this one? Oh, half a drawer. So that's obviously the vent there for your fridge too. Looks like we've still got this tall cupboard that we're going to have people arguing about what it's meant to be for. Have they actually solved? Oh, yes they have. So, oh look at that. There's some little pull-out baskets. Nifty. So definitely a bit more of a utility larder kind of cupboard. I think that's a bit narrower than ours though. by the looks of it, just literally as a quick comparison. So we have, this is feeling narrower as well. You can definitely tell that this kitchen block's a little bit wider, and they've revised the design of the step down here. It's a little bit bigger, but it still opens. So you've still got some store down there, and you can still use that to get into the bed up there too. In front of us here, this is where you get the big change on the setup, and I'll leave Will to describe what goes on with this for you a little bit later. But a couple of good cubby holes up there. Your switches are exactly the same place down there, and you've just basically got slightly different cupboard colours back here. And then we just need to have another look at the dinette area here and just do that compare and contrast between the old and the new as well. It looks pretty much the same, to be honest. Same cupboard setup here. Yep, exactly the same. Obviously just the different materials here as opposed to ours. Same lovely big size window, but we do have these different lights here that are a bit more recessed. Still touch lamps. Do they do kind of fading and things? Yes, they do. Very nice. Do we still have the same storage under this bench seat? Oh, crikey. I've moved the bench seat a little bit now, so hopefully it will work properly. There we go. Yeah, done. So, yeah, still a good amount of storage under there. I suspect there's some changes there in terms of the electronics and bits and pieces, but you've still got a good amount of storage space under there too. And it still does this nice bit here, so you can actually just relax a little bit more in the evening. The only other thing I've noticed actually that's slightly different, and we will just nip back to the old Sven to show you the old one, is this roof light. It's only very, very subtle. So it's got a slightly different handle setup here that looks like it's integrated into this circular thing here. And it looks like it's got some vents kind of built into it around here, but I'm not entirely sure how they work. And then that's a slightly different colour of a finish, which matches the headlining possibly a little better.
Okay, let's have a look at the difference between the bathroom and then the bed area and all that kind of stuff. So we're in our van, so old Sven. Let's have a quick look in here. So we've added a few bits and pieces in here together with all the clutter. And you'll notice that that's plastic. That feels, I don't know whether it is plastic, but it's certainly very waterproof in terms of how the bathroom looks and everything else. Radiator underneath there, obviously underfloor heating is standard in the Sven with the duct board and all that kind of stuff. We've left our shower curtain in here because that just comes around the side and pins in. So yeah, pretty standard Sven bathroom really. We've added a few hooks and other bits and pieces, and you'll see the back of the door here is like a heavy laminate as well, just to make sure it's sort of waterproof. Obviously your shower curtain comes across here anyway. Right, before we go across and have a look at the new Sven, just have a bit of a refresh of my memory of what we've got at the back here. So we've got a USB socket, a Type A USB socket at the back there. There is a button buried behind a pillow, which is for the lighting for the garage area underneath. And obviously you've got quite a light colour scheme in here. This is kind of like a light beige, this is white, all these cupboards are white, and obviously we've got normal push button handles to open and close, quite big handles, and obviously your normal skylight and everything else at the back here. Pretty straightforward. You've seen it on plenty of our videos before. Let's go and have a look at the new one. Let's have a look at what we've got in here then. So into the new bathroom, you'll see obviously not white anymore, and it's kind of a matte finish on this rather than a shiny finish. And then inside the bathroom, this is still all plastic. This again is kind of like a matte laminate, I think. Certainly a different colour in here, so you've got more of a two-tone appearance. Got to be waterproof because the shower curtain doesn't go around there. Still got a shower curtain just the same. The heater is different in here. So it used to be a radiator underneath the sink. I've now spotted that we've got a vent down at the bottom. Now that is not your traditional blown air heating, because obviously the Sven has its own kind of central heating system, so it works on a wet heating system with radiators. So just behind that vent there is a little set of grills, and there's a fan behind that which pushes air into here. So yeah, just a different way of doing it. Obviously for whatever reason, they've decided to take the radiator out and put it just down the bottom there. Still got underfloor heating and everything, just the same. You can change the temperature of the bathroom compared to the rest of the van as well. Still got the same lighting and everything else in there, all exactly the same. So yeah, quite a standard setup for the bathroom, few minor tweaks. And I think you're right, it is definitely a bit narrower there, isn't it? Just when you look at the kind of distance between the kitchen block and this seat, it's definitely a little bit narrower. So just looking back here, I can see that there's is that, yeah, so on the back we've got a USB-C socket as well as a USB-A, so bringing it up to the kind of modern standards, which is good. I want one of those. We're going to need to fit that in ours. And apart from the different coloured cupboards, because it's got kind of a nice grey finish to it now rather than the shiny white, this is obviously matte. You've got different types of handles on the cupboards, and obviously a different colour scheme on the cupboards as well that you can see back there. Pop out is identical, bed is identical. There's only one difference underneath here, which is just here. So this cubby hole here, you do not get on the older van, and that's because that is where the compressor for the fridge sits. And you saw it earlier on in the side of the bottom drawer in the kitchen block. They've moved it down there, so you get all this space for free. So that's nice, a bit of extra space there. And yeah, I think, oh, there are a couple of other changes, but we'll talk about those in the garage. I could talk about them now, but I'll talk about them in the garage. Need to talk about this control panel though, don't we? So one of the big changes between our van, the older Sven, and the new is the fact that we've got this Dometic touch panel, which shows you all of the levels. So you've got battery level, fresh water, grey water. This controls all of your heating and things. So you've got warm water, bathroom heating, living room heating, all that stuff. It's also where you control the fridge on and off, and your lighting, dimmers and colour temperatures and all that kind of stuff, all on that panel there. I'll show you where it is on the older Sven, and you'll probably agree that definitely feels like a bit of an upgrade over what we've got in ours. So on the older Sven, you've got an underfloor heating controller and a lighting dimmer, and then you've got a little control panel for all the electrics and outdoor temperature and all those kind of things, which is just above the door area, as you can see here. And obviously all of that lot's been tidied up by the fact that the new control panel is about there on the new Sven. What you do have is a bit of a movement of where all the pockets are and all those kind of things, but yeah, nice little upgrade.
Welcome to the garage. Now, I'm not entirely sure why Will's asked me to do this one, since I did the kitchen as well, and the garage is generally more his area, but there we go. So there's a few changes here in this new Sven, in the garage space. Couple that are quite noticeable actually. So first off, this big space here, when we show you our older Sven, was designed around having a much bigger gas bottle. Now they've reconfigured this, changed it around, and they've made it much smaller, so you just have a 907 kind of camping gas style bottle in there now. And there's quite a fundamentally important reason behind that, and that is because they've done some jiggery pokery with the electrics, which means that you can, if you're on hookup, your heating will work on electric, but if you're not in hookup, you can use diesel. Now on our van, it's diesel heating or no heating whatsoever. So if we've paid extra for hookup, literally we're being able to use a hairdryer and boil a kettle, and that's about it. But in this, you can whiz away and have your van heated and using somebody else's electric if you really want to. The other thing which you might have spotted when Will showed you over here is this vent. So I'm going to crawl in a bit so I can point to it. This one here, if the eagle-eyed amongst you might be able to see that there's a radiator behind that. So in this van, it is a radiator heater, but with some blown air to it, so you get that warmth coming through into the garage area, which is underneath your bed. Now in our van, there's a radiator over there, just a simple normal radiator, no fan or anything like that, which is lovely, until Will gets up a good hour or so before me in the morning, cranks up the heating, and then basically cooks me out of bed by the feet first. So yeah, it keeps your feet lovely and warm, but can cook you. So subtle change, but it's a change nevertheless. The final thing in the back here, is this outdoor shower connection, which they've actually finally recessed, which is really good, because ours, is when we get round to showing you, is just mounted onto this here, which means it's exceptionally easy when levering things in and out of the van to, whoopsie, switch your shower on, and there's water literally cascading everywhere. So you do have to be very, very careful about that. So that, basically that shorter cabinet back there gives you that little bit of extra space. I know some people look at garages like this and think, oh crikey, what on earth am I going to do? That's just an enormous amount of space to fill. But there's ranges of boxes and baskets and all manner of stuff that you can do to do that, and it gives you that flexibility as well. So let's go and show you what the garage in our van looks like, just so that you can have that compare and contrast. So welcome to the old Sven garage. So just a couple of bits to point out to you with what those differences are, which we've already talked about. So over on the right hand side here, you can see what I mean about our outdoor shower being mounted straight on there. And you can imagine pulling out one of these baskets, oh whoopsie, and there's the shower on and water literally going everywhere. And I generally get the blame for that, even if it's Will who's moved the basket out of the way. We'll have to excuse the general cluttered appearance of this, but it works well for us. So what we have noticed actually is that this cupboard back here, I don't think it's actually any different in terms of size at all, and you can see that from this, that's the indoor table there that's clamped to the side. But the difference is, if you remember on the other one, on the new one, there was a couple of big cubbies in there. It's still got a plug, but no fan, vent, radiator tucked behind there. There's our trusty radiator that Will uses to cook me out of bed in the morning when he thinks I'm having too long a lie-in. Just to check our sanity, because definitely the new van feels in places a little tighter than this one, and I can't imagine that I'm managing to put on a stone as I move on between the vans. So we're just going to have a little bit of a measure up. So between this sink block, oh not sink block, kitchen block, what am I on about? So there you get 57.5 centimetres. So let's try and remember these things, 57.5 centimetres. We're going to come back here and we're going to have a look. Where's the fairest bit to measure? I'm not going to use the bench seat because there's different materials involved. So we'll go for the immovable bit. So we've got 47 exactly there on that one. So what did we have? 57.5 and 47. Okay, so in the interest of fairness, I have pushed this back definitely as far as it will go. It is closed. Going from the top of the sink block again to the edge of the furriness. There we have 48.5. Yep, 48.5. So 10 centimetres difference there between those two. So you've got 10 centimetres less basically here, give or take, because that clearly moves. And then over here, now what was this one? Was it 47? I think it was. So let's have a check. I'm going for the same bit of the bathroom again. Yeah, so there you got 45. So you're 2 centimetres less of the width here between the bathroom and the kitchen. Now, that is important because the way that I actually use our van at the moment, if I've had a shower or whatever and I'm getting changed, I use this space to actually get changed in. So because I can reach my clothes that are in here, and this door is at an angle, so it creates that bigger space, but you have lost a little bit of room there for it, and I feel a bit penguin-like.
So there you go then, that is a walkthrough of one to the other, top to bottom, and it's a bit echoey in here actually. You forget how much stuff that
Needs
you
some
have
soft
in your van,
furnishings.
doesn't it? So, yeah, it must be this leather.
It is lovely.
So, shall we have a talk about prices? Because obviously things move on, unfortunately, and they don't tend to go down, do they? So, what does all of this new tech and new design mean in terms of prices then? So, when we bought ours a year ago,
Well, we ordered it 2 years ago, picked it up a year ago.
although the prices did stay the same
They
through
did.
that period. Ours was 90,500, and that was for basically the base colour, so there wasn't any cost for the colour, and the normal cloth interior. That's really important. And they were the only two things that you could choose on the van, wasn't it, at the time? So you could either have metallic black or the flannel grey that we've got, or leather or not. So this van, so the new Sven, and I'm just having a look at my phone to make sure I get this right, and this is where are we? March 25.
Yes.
Just for reference on the video. The retail price on this van is 94,194. So it has had a price bump, but when you think about all the things that we've covered in the video, so obviously it comes with alloys now, it's got a different, like better electric heating system as well as the diesel, obviously a different style of fridge, completely new style base van, interior with all of the extra tech and self-driving stuff and all that kind of thing.
So when you're saying the price for this van, is that this van? Because
Without
this has
leather.
got leather. Right, okay.
So
So that's
So yes, so that's the cheapest you're going to buy, Sven. Basically, 94,194.
Okay.
That is the base price for a Sven. Now, as Sarah said at the start, you can pick any of the 3 colours for that price.
depending on the
so-
mood of the sky.
So depending on what mood of sky you like, you can pick your colour for that price. And there are only a few options that you can have on the Sven. You can have leather or not, as we've talked about, £3,500 extra if you want it. You can probably see why we didn't buy it on ours.
I mean, it is lovely, but
beautiful.
crikey, that's a good
It
wadger
does
of
make
cash,
it
isn't
feel so good in here. Still a lot of money. You can order them with cab blinds now. So this one doesn't have them fitted, but you can order them with cab blinds from the factory, and they are the ones which draw together on the sides and also on the front windows as well. You might have seen them in motorhomes and other camper vans and stuff. We've seen the new version which they're fitting, and they actually are really nice.
They're nice.
So it's not one of the big wide ones for the windscreen which comes up from the bottom. This is 2 which draw together in the centre. It's like curtains rather than a, blind. Very nice. £700 if you want those from the factory.
Yeah.
I think we'd have those now, wouldn't we?
I think we probably would.
Just for convenience.
But bear
more
in
than
mind, they're
anything.
not insulated, so you're going to have
Yeah,
massive
still have
condensation
condensation and stuff,
problems over winter.
But that said, we really like our insulated blinds
do.
that we've got inside the funky coloured ones. So. The only other option that you can have is to have a lithium battery for your leisure battery.
Finally!
Finally.
We're in the 21st century.
Finally, which is great news. What's average is the fact that it's only 100 amp hour.
Yeah.
Which, this day and age,
That's not a lot,
it's
is it?
not a lot. When you think about the fact that if you're off grid with this van, so not plugged into hookup, you're going to be using the diesel heating probably, you're going to have the fridge on. Are you going to get more than a night or 24 hours out of 100 amp hours?
Possibly not.
Based on our experience of our van, and obviously we've got a load of kit in there which monitors how much energy there is left and everything else. I'm not sure that you would.
Although the benefit of lithium is you can run them down flat.
Yes.
So you can use the whole of that.
That's very true.
Whereas with the traditional leisure batteries, you can't. So.
We should probably give a comparison, shouldn't we? So our van has got a 92 amp hour battery as the main leisure battery, and then it's got a second battery under the driver's seat, which is 70 amp hour. So that's 162 amp hours, and you can only take that to half, otherwise you start damaging the batteries. So what's half of 162?
Well, 81, isn't it?
There you go.
So we've technically got slightly less.
Slightly less than if you had the lithium option.
In the new one.
In the new one. As standard, if you don't go for the lithium option, you get the same basically. So same as the older Sven. So swings and roundabouts a little bit.
Go on then, how much is that then if you want it?
£1,300.
Ooh!
Which is, that's a lot of money. Would we buy that? Maybe. I'd probably want to find out a bit more about it first, or see a Sven with it fitted, because I think if you have a van with lithium from the factory, the ability to be able to upgrade that lithium or add another battery on top of that gets a lot easier, because all the chargers will be configured to be the right thing and charging lithium, and the van will be configured for it. And actually adding more capacity if you've already got lithium could be a lot easier than converting it if you've not got lithium at all. So
But 1,300's a lot if you're just going to dump that battery,
Well,
potentially to get yourself a bigger battery, isn't it?
Yeah, so worth talking to the place, whoever it is, Wander Home, whoever, if you were buying a Sven, whether they could do something, or they know an electrician who could do something as an alternative to the 1,300. Because if you said to an auto electrician who's used to working on camper vans, could you put lithium in my van for £1,300 and make it more than 100 amp hours, I suspect they'd probably say yes. So shop around, think about it. But those are your options, basically. So the most expensive you can make your Sven, if you wanted, is just under £100,000.
Bargain.
So I think it's 99,800 and something. So it's just a whisker under £100,000. So there you go. Quite a lot of change between the two. It might not look like it on the surface of it, but as soon as you go digging into the details, quite a lot of change. Bit disappointed it's got a slightly smaller engine in terms of horsepower, but loving the new dashboard and everything. That's great. Would we buy one? Have we ordered one?
We haven't ordered one.
We haven't ordered one.
We're very happy with our van.
We are.
Very, very happy with our van. I think you would change it for this van because you like the new dashboard and the new tech and the upgrade that all feels a lot more modern.
I don't want the
this
smaller
end
engine.
Of the van, but you don't want the smaller engine.
So that's a non-starter. Living area colours, all that sort of
Living
stuff.
area colours, nice. I like it actually. Not that I've got a problem with ours at all. I can't say I'm massively keen on the new kitchen block and the new fridge layout. The freezer thing's a nice thing to have. Can't say I particularly miss having one at the moment. And you do lose that little bit of space actually for when you're standing there trying to cook and turning around in that corridor area. So I don't know, swings and roundabouts. I don't think I'd be disappointed if I had one of these in any way, shape or form.
Absolutely not. And you know, we do miss having a freezer in the van because the dog does like frozen carrots.
She loves frozen carrots.
And it's ice creams, all that kind of stuff. It'd be really nice to have a freezer box. I also quite like, Sarah mentioned it when she was talking about the fridge, the new fridge. I quite like the fact that this fridge is a unit that drops into the van because if it goes wrong, actually you could buy a new one of those and put it in if it's out of warranty and everything else. I worry a little bit about the kind of specialist nature of our fridge.
Yeah, I mean the compressor and everything for it.
Custom baskets and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it is Dometic.
Under the bed.
It is Dometic stuff, but it just feels very custom in terms of how they've made it, which is lovely when it's all working and everything. But in 10 years' time, if we've still got that van and it needs replacing, you know, it would have been easier if it's a drop-in fridge. But, you know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So I like the new touchscreen controls and everything.
Nice.
I think that's really good. Brought it up to date a little bit. I love the fact that you can now have the heating on from electric hookup. Because
nice.
if you haven't invested in a load of solar and, you know, big lithium batteries and all that kind of stuff, it is quite a thirsty van on electric. So being on a campsite and having hookup, you're going to get good value out of that hookup if you are running your heating on it, which is good.
Yeah.
And obviously it doesn't pollute the atmosphere with your diesel heater.
Or your poor next door neighbour with the exhaust fumes coming out.
Exactly. A couple of other nice little things that we've spotted that Sarah mentioned. So having touch lights which are dimmable is really nice. It's really nice that because yes, you can dim the main lights in our van. There's one control to dim all of the lights, which is okay-ish. But actually lying in bed and being able to just dim one of those overhead lights nice and low when all the other lights are off would be really nice. And I think we can have a look at changing ours in our van, but you know, it's just those little tweaks here and there. They've done a really nice job.
Brought it into the 21st century, basically. Ours has got the odd kind of thing that feels a bit old 90s,
bit
in
retro.
it? Yeah,
yes.
Bit retro. But
yes.
It works.
It works. It's reliable. It does everything we need, which is the main thing. Yeah. So it's been amazing to have a look around this new Sven and compare it to ours. Thanks to Wander Home. As always, super helpful whenever we come up here and help us with doing a bit of filming. They've always got a great stock of different vans and other bits and pieces. They've even told us, this is a bit of a sneak peek, that they're getting 2 new James Cooks in. So
I'm super excited.
Anyone who's a Westfalia fan, you'll know how special the James Cook is.
We've never, ever set eyes on a James Cook.
No. So when those come in, we are straight up here and we're going to be doing a video on those because those sound amazing.
Yeah.
Right, let us know what you think in the comments below. Have you been thinking about buying a Sven? Have you got a Sven and you're interested in what the new one's like? Have you ordered a new one? Mm-hmm. We're not going to ask if you've taken delivery of a new one because we know you haven't yet, although you might have done in Europe.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think of all these changes. Is it something which you've been waiting for and you think, yes, it's now out, that's how I'm going to place my order? Or are you now scouring Auto Trader looking for used Svens?
But beware, Scott here tells us that he had a used Sven
Ah, yes.
a couple of weeks ago, and within 48 hours it was gone.
2 days gone.
So,
we told him he didn't sell it for enough.
Rare as hen's teeth, I think. So if you're on the lookout for one, scour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Apologies for the long video. We said it would be. Trying to show you as much detail in this as possible, comparing the two. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching the channel, and we'll see you again soon for some more Campervan Time.